don't venture out into the void.
Not even I know what's out there.
Hello, Kane. I love you.
Let's get out of here before the moon gets frisky.
Made with all the love I'm legally allowed to give.
Here we are, looking back at the pilot episode of Glitch's newest project in conjunction with Gooseworx, the Amazing Digital Circus. This wacky existential crisis horror story billed as Toy Story, but everyone is a jerk, already has viewers in an uproar, loving this awful but lovable group of psych ward patients and theorizing about what the heck is going on here. Well, I'm going to do my best to figure out what kind of story we're dealing with, and I think that by the end we're all going to devolve into Pomni levels of insanity. Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends.
I'm fine with doing whatever, as long as I get to see funny things happen to people.
For those who haven't yet seen the Amazing Digital Circus, you should pause this video, watch it, enjoy it, slowly slip away into madness, then come back here and become part of the conversation. But if you are one of those TLDR kind of people, here is a quick rundown of the pilot. The Amazing Digital Circus is a story that asks its audience to consider this prompt. What if I was isekai'd into an existential crisis? A young woman puts on a headset and finds herself sucked into a late 90s, early 2000s CD-ROM world, the Digital Circus, where she has entirely forgotten who she is and cannot get out of this world, despite still feeling the headgear and her own body. The circus and its world are overseen by the eccentric ringmaster Kane, who runs the whole show alongside his co-host and partner in shenanigans, Bubble. In this world, anything that Kane decides to build can and will happen. With the exception of mind controlling and cussing, he pretty much has free reign.
No, my dear, we can't have any of that foul language around here. The Amazing Digital Circus is a place to be enjoyed by all ages.
Oh my god.
Exactly, Pomni. What the? Luckily for the young woman who finds herself isekai'd into this insanity, she's not alone. She is here with a wonderful cast of colorful characters in absolute denial that they are all screwed. We have Ragatha, the rag doll, who is always looking for the silver lining in a world of crap. We have Jax, who engages in denial by projecting his problems onto others and making them miserable in order to forget his own suffering. We have Kinger, who has completely lost his marbles, slipping in and out of what is real and what isn't. Gangle, who tries to put up a facade of happiness to overcome the emotional breakdown she's undergoing. And Zubul, whose form of denial is to disassociate from everything. And of course, we can't forget about Kaufmo.
The aptly named Sir not appearing in this film.
After getting a new name, Pomni and the crew are introduced to a new game to distract them from the day and help Pomni get acquainted with the ways of the Digital Circus. It is also there to distract them from seeking out the mysterious exit door hanging around the place. Kane conjures up a bunch of pesky critters called gloinks and sets them on a quest to gather up and stop the gloinks, further suggesting an even deeper purpose to their bizarre quest. With the game's premise explained, Kane pops off to enjoy a business dinner with Bubble. With the ringmaster gone and Kaufmo curiously absent, Jax decides to split the party with Kinger and Gangle going to save Zubul from the gloinks after they abduct him, while he, Pomni, and Ragatha go to find Kaufmo. Ragatha explains to Pomni that Kane constantly creates games to help distract them from the existential fears and thoughts of their situation so that they don't go mad and abstract, which will turn them into monsters. Unfortunately, this didn't work for Kaufmo, who also saw and experienced the mysterious exit door, and as a result, snapped, turning him into this crazy monster. Jax flees while Ragatha is attacked and begins glitching out. Pomni runs off to find Kane and get his help. Meanwhile, Kinger and Gangle find the hole leading to the world of the Gloinks, but they need a literal push from Jax to go inside. Jax plays everything off like it's fine, but we finally see his facade crack as he desperately looks for a way to escape from the abstracted Kaufmo. They encounter the Gloink Queen, a purse-like slug who wants to transform everything into Gloinks.
I am Gloinks. You will be Gloinks. God will be Gloinks.
As Kaufmo runs amok and breaks the circus and attacks the Gloinks, the gang saves Zubul and Pomni finds the exit door and goes through it. On the other side, she finds the creepy backspace and backrooms to what seems to be an abandoned, desolate office. Pomni quickly begins to hyperventilate when she realizes that each door just leads deeper and deeper into this weird office until she comes across an old computer set aside from the other abandoned cubicles, and she freaks out and enters the void, going through a horrifying spiritual experience. Kane then gets a notification that someone has entered the void and goes and retrieves Pomni. He resets the digital circus, saving everyone and imprisoning the abstracted Kaufmo in a prison with a bunch of other similar monsters. He rewards everyone for their hard work with a feast that they really can't eat. We end the pilot episode with Pomni slipping into madness, unable to even scream as we zoom through the world, through the void, and end up right back at the old, isolated computer in a dreary office space. Whew, and there you have it. And I'm just giving you the TLDR. There are so many little details, hints, Easter eggs, and distractions that all deserve mention and analysis that this video could easily go on for an hour or more. However, I want to try and avoid that for my own sanity and to bring everyone onto an even playing ground so that way we can properly theory craft here. Let's start off with what kind of story this is. Gooseworx said that the Amazing Digital Circus is Toy Story but everyone is jerks, mixed with the truly creepy and disturbing story I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Toy Story with jerks makes good sense once you look at this. I mean, that's kind of the overall feel, but I had not heard of the other story, so I did my research. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a post-apocalyptic story where a computer called AM has destroyed the world and tortures 5 humans by changing their bodies and minds and then sending them on foolish quests, games, or outright torture in order to satiate its hatred against humanity. There's no way to escape except for when the main character Ted murders the others, freeing them from this living hell. He's then transformed into a fleshy slug and spends the rest of eternity being tortured, with the only comforting thought being that he freed the others. Now, I don't want anyone to think that because Gooseworx took inspiration from those stories that we can pull a MatPat here and guess the ending. This story is way deeper and more insane than that. Furthermore, that means that if you try to go that route, you will end up missing the mark on what this story is all about. The Amazing Digital Circus is about a very, very familiar existential crisis. When you no longer know yourself or where you're going. Crippled by fear, anxiety, and confusion, people begin changing themselves, putting up facades that become their personalities, and the lines between reality and a forced fantasy begin to blur until you no longer understand yourself or the world that you're in. And this is a moment that comes along and clubs everyone over the head at some point in time, such as, well, when you don't know what you want to do after you graduate from high school or college, or when your dream job falls through, when a midlife crisis comes around, or should you have a crisis of faith, that can result in this as well. When your favorite show or book series or franchise ends in an unsatisfactory way. If your parents have thrown you out. When you realize that you are not where you want to be in your life and you don't know how you're going to get out of this predicament. Or when you're stuck at a questionable concert, or when you're stuck with your horrible in-laws. There are a ton of different scenarios that can throw you into this existential crisis, either for short or long periods of time. And when we accept that premise, it becomes easier to craft a theory and analysis around the show. Though I will add this caveat. We will not be 100% correct. None of us will be 100% correct about anything just yet. This show is meant to bend not only the minds of its characters within the story, but it is designed to torture us, you and me as well. I have shown the pilot to other people, and I've watched with fascination as it has made them uncomfortable with its insanity and implications. And yet, it all makes sense! Ultimately, what Jax tells the Gloinks is very important for our understanding of the story itself.
This is dumb and weird.
Well, yet you're still watching it.
I'm not here for the adventure or anything. I'm just here to hide from the...
The Amazing Digital Circus will have a very intricate world, with loads of lore and secrets to be uncovered. However, no matter how huge or cosmic that might all be, the most important thing is the characters and how they deal with their personal traumas and crises, because that is the only way out of the prison that they find themselves in. So, let's do some analysis and theory crafting. What I think is that the Amazing Digital Circus is a twisted kind of prison and recovery program. People who are stuck in a real existential crisis back on Earth are given a headset that promises to give them a game or experience that will change their lives. Within the Digital Circus, they are given a largely blank slate and provided tons of games and challenges that are not just there to keep them semi-sane, but to nudge them towards confronting and overcoming their crisis. However, this isn't a completely altruistic thing. The way that Kane handles everything like a game show and infomercial at points makes it seem like there's an actual audience who is watching and enjoying this torturous entertainment. And that is something that we'll be learning more about in the future. Now, why do I think that this is the general setup when we don't really have much to go on? Well, first of all, when Pomni goes through the exit door, she enters this uninspired drab office. Though Kane claims to have made all of that, we can observe a few things once we piece the episode together. First, Pomni's reaction to the office space, and especially to the computer, the way she hyperventilates all of a sudden, then snaps, indicates that this entire place hits her on a much deeper, personal, visceral level. She knows this office space, and it is likely the source or a source of her personal trauma and existential crisis. Second, although Kane is a liar, all evidence points to him telling the truth that he cannot mind control any of the participants. He can suppress memories and mess around with them, but he can't take away free will. Furthermore, he cannot suppress the creativity and boundless potential of their minds, which can be reflected in the digital circus. Third, when Kane is notified that Pomni is in the void, he cries out, "They'll be spoiled!" Even though he took Pomni into the void earlier, he didn't let her stay out there for very long. Out on her own, Pomni undergoes a cosmic event that forces her to confront something that she isn't ready for and can't even comprehend. Now, why would he drop that particular line when the void is just supposed to be unorganized data? There's something out there. Fourth, and I'll wrap up my thought here, the world of the Amazing Digital Circus is just like a video game, where the participants are beginning and could continue to discover more of this vast digital world. The void is waiting to be organized into something much bigger and complex. Kane says as much, even though he claims that he doesn't know what is out there, which would contradict his line of Pomni getting spoiled. When I take this information together, what this tells me is that the digital circus is meant to take people out of the situations in lives where they are in crisis and put them into a scenario where they can confront the source of that crisis and hopefully overcome it. However, there is a problem in the program, and Pomni went too far and too quickly and jumped ahead to what might be the solution to her own crisis. However, like anyone stuck in their own personal existential crisis, just giving them an answer or even the answer is no solution. A personal crisis must be worked through on an individual level. Otherwise, you'll always be stuck in it. Pomni's insanity is in part due to her personal existential crisis, and then being stuck in the circus. And, well, it's almost Lovecraftian when you stop to think about it right here. But Kane is there to help Pomni through it all by giving her quests and opportunities to not break or go insane. But like I said, this isn't altruistic. This is most likely all for entertainment of some kind. The Amazing Digital Circus is like Jigsaw's twisted games of torture, but for the mind, and on a whole lot more of a colorful playing field. You either become a monster and never escape, or you endure the circus and find a way out, which leads to a question regarding the exit door. Kaufmo most certainly saw the door, or I think even entered it, and could not handle confronting his own personal crisis. He snapped and completely abstracted, becoming a monster, raging and wandering aimlessly in his own pain, confusion, and anger at everything, everyone, and himself. It's really super sad when you slow down to contemplate what it means, and that in and of itself is an existential crisis to contemplate. Holy crap, is this just another version of The Good Place?
My essence would be scooped out of my body with a flaming ladle, and every molecule in my body would be placed on the surface of a different sun.
That might actually happen, and if it did, there would be no more Michael.
Huh. No. Me?
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
So what was the exit door? Well, I believe it is part of the circus, inviting people to confront themselves. This isn't the last time that we've seen this door, and it's likely that the others will start finding it as well. And Pomni will either continue to explore it alongside them, or try to help them not go the same route as Kaufmo and abstract as a result of going through the door. And this might make Kane out as a villain when we think about it, trying to keep people all trapped in the circus and never go for the door, all for someone else's entertainment. But like he said, the void is unorganized, chaotic, spoilery, and might even need his touch to make sure that the participants don't get lost. I don't think he expected Pomni to go through the door so soon and wasn't ready to accommodate her mind and her experiences. So, the jury is still out on Kane and what his motives really are and whether we can call him a good guy or a bad guy. I could be completely off base, but he is clearly right now an antagonist to people like Kaufmo and others who have been abstracted. And yet, he also comes off as everyone's best resource and hope for surviving the digital circus and eventually getting out. Like I said at the beginning, this show is meant to bend and warp you and your mind. The Amazing Digital Circus encourages you to get invested in and theorize about it so it can suck you in and essentially force you to suffer along with all the characters as you try to figure out this peculiar prison. And that is why I am seeing such radically different theories, from this being basically a version of the Twilight Zone where the video game characters think that they're actually real people, to that this is a story about Cain and Abel and the curse brought on by Cain's decision to murder his brother, or that perhaps this is actually way nicer than we're giving it credit for, and really this is just a really crazy therapy session in order to save Pomni. There is just so many different theories out there, and this is just the opening. We're already on a wild roller coaster ride of emotions, theories, and observations, just like Pomni. We know next to nothing, really. But despite all of that, we're buckled in and eagerly waiting for the next episode. That is the power of a phenomenal opening. It really checks all of the necessary boxes. First of all, the characters are strongly introduced, helping us to know their names and personalities, while hinting at far more growth and discovery yet to come. We also get the world's atmosphere, and for the digital circus, we know this is going to be zany, snarky, and dark. And the stakes are established. Even if we don't fully understand everything just yet, and what really is at stake, we at least understand the consequences. Pomni and the others must escape or inevitably go insane and abstract. And your expectations are now set from this point on, and you are hooked so that you want to keep going. This is not something, though, that you as a writer are going to nail in your first or maybe even in your 10th story. Not really. Gooseworx has been working for over a decade to make and tell stories. Glitch has been working on multiple stories and learning as they go and just getting better. If you want to perfect the art of a powerful first chapter that does all of the amazing things that the Digital Circus does in this first episode, you need to practice writing, communicating all of the essentials of your world, focus on engaging in interesting characters, and have stuff that happens that gets the plot rolling, reveals the stakes, and shows the characters in action. This is one of the reasons why people say that starting a story is one of the hardest things you can do other than ending it. A good written example of this, though, is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, where in the first chapter of the Mistborn trilogy, we get the awesome opening of Ash falling from the sky. We are introduced to a bleak world of slavery, where the common folk are kept down and exploited violently by those with magic, until a savior, a charismatic rebel, appears and murders the slave masters. He leaves, saying that one day things will be different, and by the end of that first chapter, you realize that nothing will ever be the same again. It doesn't need to be overly elaborate or long to tell us so much. The Amazing Digital Circus makes good use of its runtime to sink us into this bizarre world, communicating its openness, potential, purpose, but also its emptiness, its haunted nature, and the way it feels incomplete and just a notch away from insanity itself, just like the characters. We understand all of the main cast well enough to justifiably either like them or hate them. The stakes are made clear through the tragedy of Kaufmo, and we realize that Pomni will not be content to just play along with all these crazy games, but will try to find a way out or snap trying. And there you have it. The Amazing Digital Circus is an intriguing and entertaining existential horror story wrapped up in the veneer of a comedic isekai drama. Meine Güte, I love crossing the streams of genre. It's a story that I certainly recommend to others, and I can't wait to see where it goes next, and to see what theories you guys have in the comments below. Please write them. I want to see your theories, your thoughts, your observations of the Amazing Digital Circus. In the meantime, as we wait for the next episode, or for Murder Drones Episode 7, if you're looking for more reviews, analyses, or writing advice, please check out our other videos. And if you'd like to support the work we do, then please look up and purchase the books that we've published. Links for them are in the description below. And it's still not too late to get in on the horror action of the Halloween season. Our Choose Your Own Horror Adventure is ongoing in the Community tab. Please go check it out. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this existential adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.